Howdy Capricorn, welcome to your 2020 tarot reading. It's Raina here, and this is from tarot.com. Shout out to them. It's called the Year Ahead Tarot Spread. So I'm using their tarot spread. I will tell you what each position means after I lay out the cards. So I have to lay them out first. Funny, I've been getting the Ace of Swords a lot lately. Okay, the first position is called Sunset, Lessons from Your Past, from your previous year, the Hierophant. This is a card that is supposed to be connected to Taurus, but it's a card of tradition, it's a card of marriage, but you could take it in different ways. You could say, what place do I have in my life for tradition as it relates to my own personal happiness? Am I willing to sacrifice that for some outer conforming, or what was it? I was going to say confirmation. Am I willing to conform to societal expectations or cultural expectations, and put my happiness above that? Or put my happiness above that. So it could be religious teachings, because this is a card that's related to the clergy and religion. And where do you come out in that? Is there a way to honor your religion but still honor your individual path? Or do you have to conform to something that has already been laid out, no matter what? And this can be in any area of life. Like when I see the Hierophant and I think of professional life, I think of like corporate people in corporations. I'm sorry, it's still morning and I'm like having trouble like formulating my thoughts here. People in the corporate environment who have these guidelines that they have to follow. They have to conform to the corporate culture, and sometimes that is completely easy to do, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes a person may feel like they're losing their individuality, and they resent that. And sometimes, there's certain people, they love being part of groups, and it's almost like fun to them to have this kind of like a club or a group where everybody has the same kind of costume or what have you, uniform. Okay, so the second card is Horizon, what you can expect in the next year. Page of Pentacles can indicate the beginning of some kind of a material endeavor. So I would say, based on the first card, that it could even be starting your own business. Now, does this mean that you're starting it as your main source of income? Maybe not. Maybe you're still doing your day job and you're doing this on the side, but you're kind of venturing out into something that you're creating for yourself. The Page of Pentacles also relates to receiving money. It may not be like a windfall, like a big amount, but it might be just, a certain small lump sum. It could be like the student is the Page of Pentacles. So That could be in, a situation where, let's say you have been married. Maybe you have been a stay-at-home mother, for instance, and that was how you conformed to tradition. And now your children are a little older and you want to have a professional life and you're going to school to begin that process. The third card is obstacle, a challenge you'll face this year. We have the Page of Swords. This can be a situation where you have a child who is, I don't know, I'm trying to think if this would be true in the upright position. Something about having to deal with your child's learning. In some cases, if it was in the reverse position, sometimes it can be that the child has a learning disability. Pages can be children, in other words. Page of Swords can be that you are feeling a bit like suspicious about something and trying to find out more information about it. Again, I mean, yeah, we have a couple of cards here too, because we have the Seven of Swords. So, if this is something regarding your marriage, I mean, maybe if the Hierophant reflects a marriage that you feel is not a good one, then you're preparing for your eventual exit from this situation, and maybe you're going back to school, you're just, Page of Pentacles, starting a new job, perhaps. But the Page of Swords could be also kind of gathering information. If you have a spouse who has a lot of money, or you have a lot of money from your family or what have you, you may hire a private detective. I know that sounds crazy. But in terms of when I say obstacle, is that you may feel the need to do these things and you don't want to. You may feel like you should just trust this person, but you know that it's just not going that is not wise at this time. That there is something that you need to know, that you need to find out. Now, this can be about gathering information or being able to study. If you are going back to school, the Page of Swords, that could be something to do with research, or maybe even studying in general, that there's something that keeps you from being able to do it. Maybe because you have kids and you have like a lot of on your plate and you get a lot of interruptions or something like that. So it could just be something. It doesn't have to be ominous, like your partner is cheating or anything like that. It might just be that you need to carve out time so that you can have it for your studies and not be interrupted. The fourth card is Strength, how to harness your inner power. This one thing is always coming out here. Let's see. And we have the Judgment card. So this is about your inner power, being able to, Capricorn, have good judgment. Use good judgment at all times. Not allow yourself to be manipulated by other people. Again, if there's something that you suspect in your immediate environment that is not quite right, and again, I'm sorry, I said again. Let's say you are in a corporate environment and you get this feeling that something is up, and you are feeling that maybe your job is being threatened or something like that, but there's nothing overtly occurring. It's just like a feeling you get. The Judgment card to me is this is a card of rebirth. So understanding that no matter what happens, you have the ability to rise from the ashes. And so you don't have to fear being able to, you don't have to fear anything happening to you because you're always going to bounce back. So the other thing too with this card, with the rebirth angle, is that you can reinvent yourself, and understanding that as long as you don't cling to this outer image. Remember that your sign, Capricorn, you rule the 10th house of career, but it's also your public image, your place in the world. And sometimes that may make you afraid of a fall from grace or some kind of like public humiliation, when in fact that can't occur. As long as you believe that you are worthy and talented, that you are going to always attract more of the same, more good stuff coming your way, I should say. Okay. The fifth card is advice. This is another card reflecting on the prior year. And in order to move forward, we're talking about the Seven of Swords. This is another card that can indicate like deception coming from somebody. Sometimes this can be like intellectual theft. That's what, that's in the corporate climate, where somebody's trying to make themselves look better at your expense. And being able to move forward, being more savvy as to protecting your intellectual property. So for instance, an example would be, let's say you're in advertising, and you generally have people that you work with together, but you have an idea that somebody else, claims as their own. You can find out ways that you can take your ideas, whether it's trademarking them or what have you, if it's like a phrase, and be able to, even if you're working with other people, be acknowledged as the creator of the idea. Sometimes if people are working together, somebody creates this theme and then people help flesh it out. But if, someone else takes the idea and runs with it and claims it as their own, that's betrayal. That's not okay. And you may have to protect your intellectual property. Sometimes people just think in terms of physical property. But if you're in the kind of field, and even if you're not in a field, let's say you have an idea for a novel or a screenplay, and you tell your friends, and they tell other people, somebody takes that idea and they do it themselves and they beat you to it. So another thing about the Seven of Swords is also strategizing. Doing things on your own and trying to, like planning on your own, maybe not letting other people know what you're planning to do, because you don't want, especially if you are suspicious of somebody in your immediate environment that you're afraid is going to block your efforts or what have you. And this would also be like if you're planning on changing jobs. You don't want to burn bridges. You don't want people to be able to thwart you. And so you do stuff on your own, or you extricate yourself from the situation in a very cunning way so that people don't know that you are rejecting their environment or their, what they are all about. Okay, and then the sixth card is navigation, guidance for the year ahead, and this is also about, I think this is kind of, if it's guidance, it's kind of advice. The Six of Wands, this is victory. So take your victory lap in 2020 because it's there for you. This is, I think with the Judgment card, this is a powerful situation. And, Capricorns have been tested for years, but especially last couple. Things are really ratcheting up. This is probably going to be, I'm assuming, the last year of eclipses for you in 2020. And but this is great for success. And the 7th card is the central theme, your personal theme for the year. It's called the Clarity card. So we'll push these back. The Ace of Swords. And this is a card of clarity. This is a card of mental clarity, seeing things as they are, and being able to, make decisions based on a sense of having a clear mind and having that sense that you know what is really happening. With the Page of Swords, it can feel like you're not quite sure. That you have your suspicions, but you're not sure. And the Ace of Swords is that you're cutting through the illusion. And so some of that could be denial in certain instances. But this is a card of definitely moving forward, Capricorn. So awesome. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like your natal chart interpretation with 2020 transits, I'm linking that particular reading below. And it will take you to my website, rainamoonAstrology.com, where I have all kinds of readings. Have a great year. Take care. Bye.